Close your eyes for a moment and imagine driving alone through a remote Brazilian highway at 3 in the morning. The jungle presses in from both sides, thick and endless, and your headlights are the only proof that the world still exists. There are no houses, no signals, no other cars. Then your radio turns on by itself, and something appears in your side mirror that wasn't there before. It was October 2022. A 38-year-old livestock truck driver from southern Brazil was making a routine delivery. He was traveling from Curitiba to a rural processing facility near Porto Alegre. He had driven the BR-116 highway hundreds of times. It was long, isolated, and it cut directly through the dense Atlantic forest. Most drivers preferred daytime trips, but deadlines do not wait for daylight, and the forest was waiting. That night, rain had just stopped. The asphalt was slick and reflected the truck's headlights like black glass. The forest on either side looked unnaturally still, as if it were watching. At 2:41 a.m., traffic disappeared completely. No passing cars, no distant headlights, no radio signal. The driver adjusted the volume knob, but instead of static, he heard something that sounded like slow breathing, not mechanical, not electronic, human. He shut the radio off. The breathing continued for 3 seconds, then silence. He told himself it was exhaustion. He had been on the road for nearly 9 hours. He rolled his shoulders and kept driving. 10 minutes later, he saw someone standing on the shoulder of the highway. A woman, barefoot, wearing what looked like a thin white dress, soaked and clinging to her frame. She wasn't waving for help. She wasn't moving. She was simply standing there, facing the forest. No car nearby, no hazard lights, no reason to be there. Every instinct told him not to stop. As his truck passed her, he glanced in the side mirror. She was no longer on the shoulder. Instead, for half a second, just half a second, she appeared directly behind his trailer, walking calmly in the center of the road. But that was impossible. He was driving at 90 kilometers per hour. No one could walk that fast. His hands tightened around the steering wheel. His pulse began pounding in his ears. He looked again. The road was empty. He tried to laugh it off, but the sound died in his throat when the cabin temperature suddenly dropped. His breath became faintly visible in the air. The dashboard clock flickered. 2:59 a.m., 3 a.m., 3 a.m. The numbers stopped changing. Then the truck's headlights dimmed, not fully off, but weaker, as if something heavy had stepped in front of them. He felt it before he saw it. Weight, a sudden pressure on the roof of the cabin. Metal creaked above his head. Something was on top of the truck. He could hear faint scraping, like fingernails dragging slowly across steel. He refused to look up. He kept driving. The scraping moved toward the windshield, very slowly, very deliberately. Then, 3 soft knocks, directly above him. Knock, knock, knock. His vision blurred. His breathing turned shallow. The forest outside seemed darker than before, unnaturally black, swallowing the edges of the headlights. And then he saw her again, not outside, inside. For a split second, reflected in the windshield, sitting in the passenger seat, her hair hanging forward, her head tilted at an unnatural angle. He turned sharply to the right. The seat was empty, but the fabric was wet, as if someone had just been sitting there. The truck began to lose speed, though his foot was still pressing the accelerator. The engine sounded strained. The livestock in the trailer began to panic, slamming against the metal walls. And over the engine noise, he heard whispering, not from outside, from behind him, from the sleeper compartment. A soft voice repeating something in Portuguese. Você me viu, agora eu vou com você. You saw me, now I go with you. He didn't stop. He didn't turn around. He drove until the first gas station appeared nearly 40 minutes later. When he pulled in, the clock suddenly changed. 3:47 a.m. The temperature returned to normal. The whispering stopped. He stepped out of the truck shaking, convinced exhaustion had caused hallucinations. But when he walked around to inspect the vehicle, he froze. Across the roof of the cabin were long parallel scratch marks, fresh, deep enough to cut into the paint, and on the passenger seat inside, there was a footprint, small, bare, wet. He completed the delivery that morning, but he never drove that route at night again. 3 months later, he left long-haul trucking completely. To this day, he refuses to pass through that section of BR 116 after dark. Locals still talk about a woman who died years ago along that highway during a storm, waiting for help that never came. Some drivers say if you see her once, she only watches. If you see her twice, she follows. Maybe the story ends here. Maybe it was just exhaustion. Maybe it was just a trick of the mind. But the next time you're driving alone down a silent road in the middle of the night, and your headlights are the only light for miles, if you feel like something is sitting in the back seat, quietly breathing in the dark, will you turn around to check, or will you keep driving and pray it never speaks?